game number 1 here. The final best of 3 of the day in Group C. As in the top right, spawning as the red Zerg player playing for Team Clash. It is going to be Reynor.
And his opponent in the bottom left, he needs a 2-0 victory here. Can he do it? It's Alpha Axis Astrea.
Alright, Alpha Axis Astrea. What are we doing here with that gas first, buddy? This is looking a whole lot like a no scout. As he will be... I mean, most likely not scouting, right? It's still possible to scout, but just very unlikely. There we go. Sends the probe back up. Get a little bit of extra gas, like a good boy that he is. And most likely we'll just be playing Stargate Opener from this very... It's still... it used to be very common that whenever you opened like this, you would go into the DT drop, right? The very fast DT drop, 2 units, or even the 3-gate DT drop that would hit at, was it 410? 407? Insane.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous drop. And you can still do it, by the way. You just can't warp in 4DTs. Back in the day, Juggle used to have like a super early 4DT warp in, if I recall correctly, especially on short maps like Cyber Forest. Now, obviously, since then, the Robo cost got a little bit higher and the Warp Prism as well. So it's 100 minerals more, which means you can still do the same, but with a 3-gate, more or less. And we see Astra going for the Cybercore Scout. So when we said no Scout, we obviously meant no early Scout. Yeah. So no Scout that would be safe against an early pool. You still do Scout after Cybercore because it doesn't really cost you anything. And if we look at into his main base right now, he is already saturated 16 and 3. And he's running the extra probe into gas. So unless you were to go for that extra... for the DT drop, having that extra probe at home doesn't really change a whole lot. So usually no Scout is a Cybercore Scout.
Yep. Indeed, the truth. As we have Reynor just going to be opening up with something very, very standard. He is aware that he can't drop a single map in order to still have a chance at advancing in first place. Now, just if winning 2-0 isn't good enough, as we already mentioned before, Hero Marine also
doesn't know that though.
Oh, he doesn't. He's not aware.
He can't get first anymore. Is what we just figured out, Tyson.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
Yeah. Because Hero Marine would be 9-5 against 8-4, which I'm not sure why that means he's better, but that's the way the rules are. So that has to be respected. In Astrea, we see actually going into a Twilight Council opener.
Man, who would have thought that it actually was going to be a DT drop? Who would have thought this actually was going to be a DT drop? I wouldn't have thought. Now, the reason I'm saying DT drop and not glaives is because it's very unlikely to open... Wait, it's going to be glaives.
It's not a DT drop. Yeah, he has 2 in each gas.
Oh my god. But without a block, isn't that just kind of bad?
I've been telling that to MaxX for a long time. I don't think it's that good, but some players still do it now. It transitions a little bit nicer into the follow-ups like Disruptor Drop, for example,
right.
Or also into the DT follow-up because you can afford it faster. But he's actually going for a... Yeah.
This is my build. This is the build I definitely can claim. The 5-gate is mine. The 4-gate I have conceded to Zest, even though that one was also mine. But the 5-gate actually is mine. This is one of my first guides I made. Oh, I love to see it. I don't think this build is that great anymore, though. It's extremely committed, and it doesn't really do that much better than a 4-gate. It's going to have, I think, maybe 2 adepts extra. Once you really want to start attacking, like you only gain 1 adept at a time. He gets the first 2. That 3rd-gate is very fast, by the way. So actually gets that warp in as well. Did he skip? Oh, okay, he skipped one extra.
He skipped the second. Yeah. He skipped the second adept. So it's not like he's starting with more adepts than the usual glaives that you're used to. And Reynor also has a perfect follow-up scout because he went overload speed. Now, one of the things that you can do against this, you can temporarily wall your natural, which Reynor is not opting to go for. He's just going for the very standard response. With 1 gas, he actually cut Jones at a very, very early time. So he's over preparing for this, but he also saw that it was a 5-gate, so he knows that he doesn't need that many drones to be fine in case of a transition.
The Proshar is a little bit late, no?
Oh, well, I thought he would shade in there. This is a very weird... Usually with the 5-gate, for sure, I thought he would warp in 1 extra shade together with the other adepts,
right? Yeah, I think so too. Right now we have Astrea moving forward. Roaches not being out is actually kind of a big deal. This prism movement is a little bit awkward, honestly. As right now we have a shade going, well, nowhere. I feel like this has kind of been held properly at this point already.
Yeah, no, you said the roaches are late, and I agree with that. But since links are super good if the adepts are split up, Astrea could not. Oh my! He's actually committing into the natural of Reynor, and yeah, he's instantly first to recall. I'm pretty sure you could hear it in my voice that I was surprised by it as well. But that was not a successful 5 gate. Now the thing is, Reynor actually cut drones super early on, and is now going for blind spores, even though he went for overlord speed. So this is not the perfect follow-up by Reynor either, so even though this did no damage, Astrea by no means is out. I don't even think he's too far behind, but now again he's losing some adepts for free here.
Yeah, this is wild. Holy crap.
Oh.
2 adepts in the main are doing a little bit of damage. Now, these links shouldn't be able to get a cancel, might be able to pick off one more adept. Stalker in the wall. The overlords are being spread out like Reynor's life depends on it. 47 workers against 45. We have 7 more drones in production, and we should kind of be expecting a layer and evo chamber at some point, no?
Yeah, he doesn't have the gas for it yet, but the moment he does, he's definitely should do so. He's also adding 2 extra extractors right now, and I believe there has to be some sort of follow-up pressure at the very least from Astrea to stop Reynor from just going overboard with the droning, getting a forward base and go Ravager Bane. Otherwise, I don't like it too much for Astrea, and he's already, I think this is second immortal that he's on the way right now, so...
Yeah, this is looking an awful lot like at least a little bit of an immortal push as a follow-up off of 5 gates. Now there's also Blink and +1 on the way. Once again, that Prism keeps trying to do the same move again and again. Like, I bet the 7th time he isn't going to be there with the Queen, but the Queen just kind of stands there and Reynor's like, alright buddy, you relax, alright, you relax. Now we see a bunch of roaches out already, 66 workers. There's no 4th base yet. Is that a surprise?
Not really, because his early game just wasn't as good, and I assume Astrea is gonna try to cancel that for it, but honestly, what is his sentry count looking like? He has 3 sentries, no stalkers yet. I still do think he should move out at the very least to clear some creep, which there isn't actually that much of, but he's warping in so many sentries that I feel like he needs to do something relatively soon, since he doesn't have a transition.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to wait for +1 and Blink, I think. That's for sure. The moment he does that, Reynor's going to be extremely prepared. The creep will be too far, and by the time you hit your opponent's going to have like 25 Ravagers off of those 6 gases that have been going for a while now already. Even at this point, the Ravager count is growing rather rapidly. We have an Overlord morphing into a Dropper Lord, which will be dropping 8 links in the main base. There is a Stalker at the edge, so Astrea is better prepared than most tosses would be. Very quick cancel there coming out of Reynor. Doesn't really want to, doesn't want to risk anything.
Yeah, he's respecting the army of Astrea. He doesn't have roach speed yet, so it's relatively hard to micro, even though he's on creep against the force fields. And he knows he has something going for him as well. I don't think it's too bad to get your fort base cancelled by this push, because you know that at least there are no early disruptors, so if there's ever a Colossus on him, it hits way later. Oh, not the best micro by Astrea, eating a couple of cross bites there.
Oh, that one Immortal might actually die. Picks up the wrong Immortals there. A bit of a mistake. I think he just forgot that he had 3. He wanted to pick up all of his Immortals. He was like, wait a second. This isn't good. Losing a bunch of sentries now as well. The Lynx going absolutely ham in the natural. Even though 5-6 Stalkers were warped in time. Now Astrea decides this is the spot he wants to fight. Barely manages to dodge these bios with his Observer, by the way. 9 workers down, losing all of his sentries, or at least a big chunk of his sentries, and the rest completely out of energy. I see almost no potential for another push in the next 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, maybe for Astrea, but Reynor is actually the one that can put on some pressure now. If you look at Astrea's army, it is very small right now. And the worst thing about all of this is that he doesn't have sentry energy. He lost a lot of his sentries. This, I think, was his only force field, so there is no downside from Reynor to just going forward and keep corrosive biling. And even though he doesn't need to do anything because he's ahead in workers, Astrea is even struggling to survive. Now, nice counterattack with a War Prism and the 4 adepts on the other side. There are no Zerglings here, so he might let this finish and then pick up.
Yeah, which exactly what he's going to do. Yeah. Picks off 2 drones there. Creep spread on the left side is a little bit mediocre. That was more of a safety hatchery, right? Hey, in case you're going to cancel my 4th again, I'll have that hatchery on the far left that can function as my 4th. And now that he has it, he's like, well, might as well get the drones for it, and we'll start spreading creep there momentarily as we see 2 active tumors in that area. Baning speed is about to finish up, and I'm kind of expecting a push here out of Reynor, right, while he's stacking into Hive.
Yeah, I think he's at least going to try to trade out. You don't want to let the Protoss get maxed out, because usually that's fine when you have Vipers close to being done, but his Hive is actually very late this game, so I wouldn't be surprised. Oh my, no. that Colossus wasn't a very happy one, as he just got rallied into the Zerg army, and yeah, Reynor is just gonna do some split pushes. Now this is what Colossus Stalker struggles very hard against, because your army, if it's just in half, can get jumped on very easily by Baneling armies. So one of the big weaknesses is that it's hard to defend extra bases. So what Astrea's game plan is right now is he's just gonna try to survive and max out, and Reynor is just gonna try to trade, and any trade that is somewhat even, which isn't that hard against Mass Stalker, should be a good one for him.
Yeah, so right, we have a couple of force fields ready. I count 2, actually. Almost the third one is there as well. Bowels coming down preemptively to break these force fields. Is there anywhere where Astrea still can move? Not too far back. That battery is still doing work. Reynor should really target it down a little bit faster. Colossi coming here with a flank. Never seen that one before, but yeah, this trade, even though it doesn't look great for Reynor, this actually is kind of fine, right? He traded out a lot of army, but he still had a big enough bank that he can remax very rapidly. His opponent is on 114 supply currently, and Astrea not quite understanding his position in the game currently.
Yeah, I think if you check resources lost, these trades always, they don't look great for Zerg, but Stalkers are so expensive that every time I check the replay as a Zerg, I'm like, wait, I actually traded better than the Protoss here, and I'm pretty sure that that's the case. What happened right here? This was an even trade with Reynor obviously super outmining Astrea, and he keeps the sentry count low, which is super important as well. There's only a single sentry, and without the force fields, this army is just not that scary against Banelings.
Yeah, definitely not. Here comes the Ling flank as well. No more sentries available. Actually, one sentry with Guardian Shield. There's too many Banelings. He can't even kite, or he will get caught up by these Banelings. Where's the Prism to pick it up? I don't see it anymore. Did it die somehow?
The Prism's on the left side for warp in potential, but I think Astrea needs to warp in army units himself just to survive, and he doesn't even have charge, so it's not like he can warp in for Zealots to kill the hatchery. And yeah, it's looking really rough for Astrea, and he needed to win that game. You guys need to remember. Otherwise, he is officially out of this tournament. I think even if he would lose here, though, I think he had a nice run, beating 2 of the top Korean Protosses. Wait, he beat Trap and
Zest.
Or Zest. Did he beat both? Yeah, he beat Zest in the first one. Yeah, that's actually crazy. Who is first, by the way, in this group as well.
Yeah, only dropping 3 maps, 2 of those against Astrea. We have a big Ling run by going towards that forward phase, but I think we're doing more of an attack, really. Straight up attack, as the rest of the army of Reynor is quickly approaching as well. There is no flank set up here yet. There's not that many Banelings yet, but that's about to change as we see 23 extra Banelings in production and Vipers joining the fray as well. Now the micro gets really freaking tricky for Astrea, by the way.
Yeah, he tried to snipe one of the Vipers. The big thing that the Vipers do is they instantly delete the force fields with abducting the Colossus. I think that's not even necessary anymore, as Astrea has just used his last 2 force fields, so now he has 3 sentries with low energy. These Banelings need to watch out. To join up with the rest of the army, I think he wanted to run by them, but I think whenever Reynor decides to go, we're gonna see a fight that honestly should be going his way.
Yeah, 2 Vipers there should be able to take out these 2 Colossi pretty easily. Now, is there any extra Banelings as a flank? They're going in towards the 3rd base. Stalker warping will prevent them killing all of the workers, but is there enough here at the 4th for Astrea to hold? I think temporarily the answer to that is yes, but if we take a look at the bank, the overall trades have been slightly favoring Astrea, but the mining has been triple red arrows, and I don't know what one arrow represents, but I know if there's more than 2, it's really, really bad for the other guy, and we've had triple red arrows for a very long time already, Lambo.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is the one chance that Astrea has before the next wave of Banelings is morphed. He doesn't have any sentries with his army, it's mostly Stalkers, a lot of them are low HP, and yeah, once the Banelings are done, Reynor just walks forward. The Banelings are move commanded, there are Stalker Warpins, but right in the face of Banelings, which is never something you want to see, and Reynor just decimates this army.
Yes, GG gets called, as with that first game, not only does that game disappear, but also the chances of Astrea advancing on out of this group. As is there any updates on the other streams, Lambo? Are we this good? We see Zest is up 1-0 currently against Hero Marine, which means that Hero Marine needs to win. No, actually, so nothing matters. It's just between Hero Marine and Zest, right?
Yes, for first place. It also, second and third matters quite a bit, because if, for example, if you get 3rd place, you would play potentially so far against Maru or Cyril. Whereas second place, you would face Clamor Innovation, which I believe is a little bit easier, even though they're still so freaking good. Because, I mean, it is just the best players in the world left here.
Yeah, that is actually true. It is the best players in the world left, especially in the round of 12. The closer we get to that final stage, the better the players will become, the better the matches will be as well, even though today's matches have been absolutely fantastic. We're here going into game number 2 in a second, as it's being hosted up right now. It's going to be Pillars of Gold. Now, that first map was kind of surprising. I honestly think if that first or that second warp in of 5 adepts is together, we're at 14 adepts without any roaches there, because the roaches popped at 58. The first warp in was at 18. For 18, second warp in would be what? 40?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a 16-second window where you have 14 adepts.
Yeah.
Against no roaches.
I think no matter what the defense is, I think that you should never, if you go for like a 5 gate or a 6 gate, split before the extra warp-in. I think if you do one warp-in later, it can be a good move, right? Just with the first warp-in, I'm not entirely sure. If you wanted to do it, maybe then go towards the natural and shade into the main base. And that might have been a better idea there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure. It just seemed like an odd call there, which, I mean, happens, of course. Reynor, after that, Reynor had a pretty straightforward game, right? He goes up to 78 workers, loses that 4th base once, but like you said, Stalkers are so freaking expensive. They cost so much gas, which means that the moment you're building Stalkers to survive or to put pressure on, you're basically denying yourself any type of transition. It's like you're going to be stuck in that forever, you know? You need to, in order to survive, you'll need more Stalkers, and if you want to ever get in you just need to keep attacking. You're forcing yourself to keep attacking while you're really just trying to not die a lot of the time. And that's kind of what we saw happen there.
Now, Twitch is trying to catch me again here, and they're saying even if Astrea wins 2-1, he's through. But mathematically, Astrea would be 7-7, and Reynor would be 7-6, if I'm not incorrect. Which, in this case, map difference would be in favor of Reynor. So that would mean that Reynor is still through. Can you confirm this, please, with the Dutch math schoolings, because I'm not sure what the Twitch. Now I'm very careful about what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before I was super confident.
Okay, so we have here it's still 6-4-5-6 on my screen currently.
Mm-hmm. So that's +2 versus -1. So if
it
changes,
it will be 7-7.
Yes.
Against 7-6.
So I'm not sure what Twitch is saying now.
Yeah. Okay. The Dutch the Dutch schooling system once again agrees with the German schooling system and will assist them in fighting the ignorance in the Twitch chat. We'll have some resources for that.
This time it's Piranhasniks. Add them in the chat.
Oh no.
As they requested a break, by the way, so this obviously yeah.
This is completely fine.
I like calling. Thankfully, I'm not an A-string caster, so we can't do this stuff yet. Still, so this is the one advantage that we have. We can just look at Twitch and make fun of them for our own entertainment.
Would you look at that, man? All the big boys are here. They know the C-stream is where it's at.
The C-stream is where the party's at.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Oof. All right. Okay, now ready when players are ready. Reynor's bragging about the amount of water that he actually drank today, which big deal.
Red Bull, not water.
Oh, sorry, Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that. Yeah, he's a big guy. He can take a lot. Man, I'm really tired all of a sudden. This game, this game has been rough on me. This series, man. The breaks, lots of little breaks, but we have one more. At least one more game here today at day number 5 of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2021 online. We're in our 15-second countdown, which goes into the 10-second countdown, which goes into the loading screen, and then finally the 3-second countdown. It's the triple countdown that we're so used to, and you guys can hear it in the background as well right now as we're loading into map number 2, which is going to be Pillars of Gold. It's Reynor versus Astrea. And this is important for Reynor. He just needs to win. It doesn't matter anymore. But it's still important. $100 on the line.
Yeah. Twitch chat thinks that Astrea is 7-6 if he wins, so 2-1, which means that they're failed math elementary school. So I now see the problem there with the thought process. But yeah, as you said, there is still something online. Especially Reynor still thinks he has a chance of advancing because of my wrong my wrongdoings here and what I explained to him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So he's still definitely gonna try his absolute best here.
Yeah. And Astrea obviously would love to have a shot to just beat Reynor. It's cool to beat one of the top dogs, you know. Some nice bragging rights. I think it would look really, really sick to have beaten Trap, Zest, and then Reynor as well. And we're talking about the guy on the bottom left spawning as the red Zerg player playing for Team Clash. The Italian stallion is the man himself, Reynor.
And his opponent in the top right, playing for Team Alpha X, it's Astrea.
Definitely the case.
Ooh, going for a Nexus first here in the PVC. What do you think about that opening?
It's an interesting opener where over the years I've spent a lot of time going in between Gate first and then back to Nexus first. The money you get when playing Nexus first just feels so good to deny, you know? It's too good to be true almost. Like you're so extremely rich. It feels great. You have that fast Nexus, you can immediately start saturating it. You have some extra chrono boost energy as well. The problem is that your tech is so freaking late and the Zerg can just delay everything on their side as well, right? There's absolutely no need for any of their safety measures that they usually need. Like the spores can be delayed by a crap ton of time. Was it like 30 seconds, 35 seconds? I think you can delay speed by a lot. A bit dependent on if they open 2-gate though or not. Which 2-gate, I always think this should be viable in theory, but for some reason it really quite isn't because it delays your tech even more.
Yeah, I think usually when I see Nexus first players, they are the tech-heavy players that either do some weird Forge Robo opener or something like that, where having the extra economy is nice, or it's the players that rush up to 4-gas and then go for the double Stargate on 2-base. I think for those openers, it's really nice. And in general, if you're someone that plays a little bit more unorthodox, it's also cool because it throws the timings a little bit off. Overall, obviously, there is a reason that it's not the standard, besides it obviously just not being as safe of an opener. If it was just that, then it would be mixed in way more since 12 pull isn't seen every game, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. So opening up with adapt, and what you kind of want to do is you want to track the movement of links. He's chroning them both, right? Yeah. So Reynor will try to send by at least 1 or 2 links, and as a toss, what you do is you leave a probe in the wall and you try to wall that out. In theory, you can arrive already at this point with the links, right? I actually think that Reynor delayed it by a lot. He's not going to do the move out, which I'd be kind of happy if I were Astrea here. He's following this up with Sentry. This is actually out of my comfort zone. My knowledge kind of ends here.
Yeah, this is what I've talked about earlier. He likes to do these type of openers, which the moment you see Sentry as Zerg, you know you can throw down a Roachworm and just make drones forever, pretty much, with a couple of extra geysers. Even if you just have a couple, like this is, I guess these openers, they go transition more into like a hot style opener, as we see him finish the Shade. Realize there's 8 Zerglings, immediately recall back. So I'm glad he didn't lose any of the depths, because that would make him taking a 3rd base a little bit more risky. He's even going into 2 extra sentries. I'm expecting a very, very fast 3rd base.
I don't even mind this. Oh my god, he's sending out the Adept. I really like that play, actually. Oh, he's just going to go for the 3rd base. If he would have gone across the map with us, that would have been so freaking big. I would have loved that. Of course, it would have been hard to keep the 3rd base. I mean, it's a risky play, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of common after you clear the Adepts and you see Sentry to go check with your links on the other side of the map. Like, it definitely was a possibility here, and I don't think Reynor necessarily would have been ready for it, even though he's kind of wary. He's getting 4 extra links, he's getting Overlord speed, so he's doing his due diligence, you know? He wants to make sure, hey, I can't die against this. I don't want to die against something silly, as Reynor still firmly believes that it's capable for him to get 1st place in this group as long as he just wins 2-0. We have the creep being spread on the left side already for Reynor, and now he will get his scout. And this is Forge, Twilight, 3 Nexus. Is this Blink, you think?
Yeah, 100%. This actually is something that, for example, Kung Fu Banda likes doing a lot, but I'm super surprised to see it on pillars because it's such an open map. Personally, where I think in general it's gonna be really, really hard to play against Roach Ravager Bane, and I think no matter what you do, since there's no Stargate, that's the playstyle Reynor is gonna choose to go into, right?
I'm not sure.
I see you're completely out of your. I've never seen you play something like that.
Yeah.
That's obviously for a reason, but yeah, I have a little bit of experience with this since there's a bunch of EU players that play stuff that's a little bit out there. But in general, what you can do here as a Zerg is you just get up the drones. As long as you have any amount of Ravagers, you're kind of safe. And then there is either a blink pressure / very committed attack, or the Protoss try to transition out of it, either into the Robo Bay. I have also seen people go into Storm from this, so
Yeah.
maybe something that you already knew from like the old school ways of following up 4-gate glaives.
Yeah, that I wouldn't mind. If he goes like blink into storm, I feel like that. In that case, you're like you have some pressure on the map. The problem I have with anything that goes into Colossi from this is that you're going to be creating a similar situation as that last game, where you allow the Zerg basically to go to 75, maybe even higher drone count, basically for free, without any cost whatsoever, and then your Colossi are kind of late, you can just tech into Viper and be absolutely fine. With Storm, at least you can deal with these Banelings very effectively, which means the follow-up will be better, but he's actually going to be going to double Robo and Robo Bay. Now, we'll see how this pans out. Of course, he has a lot more experience with this than I, as I've never played this, and so if he played it more than once before, which I assume he did, he definitely has more experience than me.
Yeah, absolutely. He is pressuring, and this is not scary, especially if there were any Ravagers. Yeah, Reynor was a little bit greedy with the Ravager morph, but should still be in time to defend his space. Even gets a Sentry, very nice pick off here for him. He actually droned up very safely. If I saw the gas on the on Astrea's third, I would have immediately went up to 80 drones. I mean 76 also, just 4 less. And now the Warp Prism kind of flies in, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I think he needs to back off. He's going double Robo Bay. Yeah, I think if he goes Colossus, which I think is what he's gonna do, is he's gonna have a hard time if there's a Hive tech anytime soon with Baneling speed. But Reynor actually is playing it insanely. I think Reynor forgot the Baneling nest actually. He's getting melee upgrades. Okay, now he's getting it very late actually. Baneling speed, the upgrade takes quite a long time. So
yeah, second Evo is going down at the same time as the Baneling nest, which is kind of rare to see when you're playing. We're trying to play Ravagerling Bane, which is what I'm assuming he wanted to play, right?
yeah.
We're seeing 11 extra drones being created, so it's going up to 90, if my counting is correct. Once again, the Dutch cooling system absolutely destroying the Twitch chat doubters.
Just wait for Twitch to tell you the numbers, Ron.
It's actually
because
89.
he made a building. Yeah,
He
because
made
now
an
it's at 89.
Yikers. Oh no. We have this. The creep is very far, by the way. It's very far out on the map for 8 minutes, especially because Astrea is playing such an active style. Now, I'm saying active style. From the 6 minutes on, he's been active. Before that, he really couldn't have done anything, right? There's no oracles, there's no small adept pressure that can clear a tumor here and there, and that's why, if we take a quick look at this mini-map, is we're seeing the creep already moving in towards the third base right now, and there's going to be lots of potential for rotations here for the Zerg player, which is always very, very tricky to deal with. If the Banelings come off like a speed boost, you need to react way quicker than you usually have to.
Yeah, I actually think Reynor's I think Reynor in general played this game way too safe. I'm not even sure if the Baneling nest was a mistake or on purpose, because he might have been afraid of a push. But he's playing it so safe that even the Infestation build is super late. And the Infestation build is just 100-100. It's one less Ravager. There is no reason for him to not have a Hive done already, but he's just starting it now. So he needs to do stuff now so that Astrea won't hit a maxed out timing before he has Vipers, because that's the one scary part about Colossus, where the Protoss can sometimes punch through, especially with big numbers of force fields. So that's why these rotations that you talked about are super important, but Astrea already pre-split for them with a good position. Might catch these roaches, Reynor doesn't pay attention.
Oh, I was going to say he probably should have force fielded first. I went with the blink, got some good damage, though all of these roaches are going to be going down. 21 Banes on the way. Immediately, Baneling speed has finished up right now. 44 more links in production. As long as the Baneling count remains big enough, this shouldn't be too much of an issue. This map is relatively open as long as Astrea doesn't get up one of these ramps. We see a flank coming in here from Reynor, trading with a lot of these stalkers. What is the larva count. Only 8 larva available here, Lambo. Oh, but that's after
Yeah.
36 links have been built. Never mind.
He does also still have a lot of links, but that fight was really bad. Astrea did something really greedy here, the way he joined up his army, and Reynor was a little bit too indecisive. If he just jumped on the right army immediately, I think he would have wiped out the right army with a good trade. But this trade was really bad, and he has 0 banelings now, so he needs to watch out. He's morphing so many banelings, but the thing is he's now in position where the force fields might destroy him, because the hatchery also acts as a kind of an extra force field. Now, it's so many banelings, but they're all going through this one little gap that is in the force fields. Now the force fields go down, banelings roll forward, and this is why Stalker Colossus is just not that good against baneling numbers. But hold that thought, as there are more Stalkers warping in, it's just the banelings tank too much damage, and the roaches kill the army slowly is the problem here.
And that was a missed opportunity to scream out so many banelings at the top of your lungs, as that truly was so many banelings. I think it was about 70 or so. Now, 17 workers have gone down on the side of Reynor. He's still up 5 workers, and he can rebuild those, of course, as his injects have been on point this game. He never ran out of larva. When you're playing these heavy link bane styles, it can be kind of tricky to always have the larva ready, especially if you're trading as much as he's been doing in the past minute and a half, 2 minutes. Of course, with 5 and now a 6th hatchery, it does become a little bit easier, but it's still impressive that he managed to keep that up. So you see some cheeky Colossus micro coming out of that one prism. Managed to do another 10 damage on 3 roaches. So looking forward to the Reddit post.
I do remember there was a time where you liked the Colossus drop more than the Disruption drop. I will never forget. Evil against Zerg, which is ridiculous by itself. But the one thing that you didn't even mention is that besides what already happened, there's also Hive now. So Reynor has access to Vipers, and Astrea needs to remake sentries, so it's not like he can just freely go into Storm. And it's just looking really, really good for the Italian Zerg for now.
Yeah, right now, somehow Astrea needs to find a path to Storm. In that case, he can perhaps start thinking about a 5th base and actually playing a longer game. He did clear a lot of creep, which is helpful, but yeah, against these baneling counts, you're gonna need a lot of force fields. He accidentally hallucinated Stalkers, or that was on purpose? I'm not sure what that is.
No, he just wanted to check, I think, for the Hive tech, in case there are any lurkers or something. Then he definitely needs to switch things up. Greater Spire also you would want to become more active, so that's what he's scouting for. Reynor, by the way, opting to go into the Greater Spire, which is not maybe the preferred option for most Zerg players, because it can be very, very hard to split up your own army. I'm surprised that Reynor is letting Astrea even max out again, or getting close to that. And as I say that, now he's finally starting to pounce again. With the Banelings, I would love to see him just blow up those Stalkers. Well done, and they get into the mineralize. No +2 Banelings yet, so no one-shot. And immediately Reynor just remaxes, Astrea taking a very optimistic 5th base in the top left. Which, yeah, if there are any units going there, I really doubt that he can defend it. But I also wouldn't scout for it if I was a Zerg, to be honest.
This is the brilliant play. Sure, if units would be going there, he wouldn't be able to defend it. But what if there's no units going there? And that's what's the case right now. No units are heading in that direction. Storm is being researched, and it actually seems like that Astrea is kind of managing what I almost thought was impossible. Oh my god, Reynor just too good, too systematic in his approach to playing freaking StarCraft. Sends the links over there, will cancel this 5th base, and Astrea should just cancel this, honestly. Give up, go towards that far right side. Melee attacks level 2 about to finish, but with Adrenal Glands, you're not going to be trading well against Zerglings anymore with pure Zealots. You're going to need some Archons or a couple of Storms to deal with that.
Yeah, I like that he got the maximum out there out of the Zealots, because the Zerglings were focused finding the Nexus, so he canceled as late as possible, which was really cool. Plus, obviously, saving all the Zealots. Now he's taking the more reasonable 5th base. I would say now, of course, the wall from the 4th base is not useful anymore, since he now expands past that. And Reynor has been playing it really passively, even though I'm pretty sure he could have just killed Astrea, so slight mistakes there. These Banelings might just blow up the Nexus with the probes.
Yeah, they will. Yep, there goes the Nexus, there go the probes. And pop goes the Weasel, as Astrea finds a timing here where there is Vipers but no Broodlords yet. Perhaps this is his one timing that he has, but I think there might just be a little bit too much money in the bank here for Reynor, who's still guarding this ramp with his life. It seems like he's very, very keen on fighting as Astrea tries to move down that ramp. I mean, are you going to be going into Corruptors at this point, or you just stay on this army for a bit?
No. I think you stay on this army. There's no need, especially if you're that far ahead in economy, to change it up And honestly, it's on Astrea right now to attack. If Astrea, I actually wouldn't mind Astrea just sitting back, personally.
Yeah.
And then wait until they're Broodlords. I don't think he can move on creep, so this creep clearing is still fine, but he's gonna try to hit a timing with Archons. And his army does look scary. I mean, he does have a bunch of storms, barely any force fields, but that also makes the army easier to micro, which, even though those are pro players, it does still matter quite a bit. So he might be a little bit better with the High Templar control. Now Reynor does not have a flank ready, so these High Templars might zone out the Reynor's army quite a bit.
Yeah, Astrea playing it very careful. I think he probably would have been able to take out the bases. Reynor gave it up, but I don't mind that he didn't want to go in there. That looks scary. These banelings are exposed. Lambo, that's a lot of banelings, Lambo.
That is a lot of banelings, yes. Reynor was a little bit preoccupied with the Zealot run by the bottom base, trying to defend the base that he moved all his drones to. And honestly, Reynor's drone guard is not looking too hot anymore. If Astrea takes a good fight here, he could turn this game around, or even if he just went back at this point, I wouldn't hate his position too much. He gets so many banelings for free. I mean, Astrea is making magic happen here with his army.
Yeah, this is insane. What is the Templar count? There's still 3, 4, 5 storms here with this army. This base is gonna go down. 65 workers for Reynor, no bank left for him. 3-3 is about to finish up though, as he gets another Archon for free. Viper's desperately trying to get more energy, as +3 melee attacks is about to finish up. So is missile attack level 3. That bottom right base has 30 workers on it, and this base also needs to be given up. Reynor is getting pushed back, and we got this massive run by, which I'm missing as well. Zealots are being warped, and now not all of these links are together, otherwise these Zealots most likely would be falling. Oh man, how will this fight go? It doesn't look too good for Reynor here.
It does not look too good for Reynor at all. He just lost all his banelings. He has 0 banelings remaining on the map, and all he can do right now is try to hold the ramp with mass abducts. With mass corrosive bites, anti-abduct on the Colossus really helps him out. I think if Astrea realizes there would be no banelings, he could just blink forward and try to take a fight with a Zealot Warpin. But it's very, very hard to tell sometimes how much bank the Zerg really had before you go into this, and I don't mind the decision to go back at all here.
I think that's actually a good call. He was floating a crap ton of money as well, having some trouble spending it, I guess, after some of the gateways in the main got taken out, I can only assume. I doubt he was on 8 gates the entire time. Might be possible though. I think he might have built them just at his 3rd base. So we see, holy crap, this is a big Ravager. What's this, 26 Ravagers? I mean, they're well upgraded, Lambo.
They are well upgraded, but they're also very squishy units. Even just against the Zealot flank, this army would be toast. And he also has the ability to blink forward. He also just can zone out well with the High Templars if he micros it correctly. Now, Reynor is in a decent position with them, gets one of the Viper's feedback, and you can see Ravagers are not that great against Storms as well. At the same time, there's a Baneling run by at the 3rd base of Astrea, which does get taken care of, and a War Prism entering Reynor's main base, which he had a lot of Spine Crawlers ready for that Great Respire transition, but he does not have anything in natural, so he needs to be aware of that War Prism. I feel like he could have almost just warped in 10 Zealots on top of that.
I don't mind that he doesn't though. I mean, he's outmining his opponent by so much. As long as he just takes a good fight, he should be fine. Takes out both the Vipers here. Just wait for a storm. I think that's the plan right now for Astrea. Astrea somehow managed to figure out, hey, I'm in a really good spot economically. I don't need to fight right now. We see 8 more Zealots on the way for him. Another Colossi is joining up as well. His upgrades are looking fantastic at 3-1-1. He did get a Zealot weapon actually in that natural, like you mentioned. He's going to target down that hatchery. I'm not sure how useful that is. I guess there's a little bit of gas mining that Reynor won't have anymore. And there still were some patches. 11, 13, 14 workers went out. Where did these drones come from?
They went the wrong way around to the other hatchery. He wanted to transfer them to readjust the saturation, and honestly, Astrea is making it happen here in game number 2.
Yeah, he's making it happen indeed in game number 2 with that Nexus first opening, that super uncommon play and a couple of terrible fights into that one brilliant fight there on the far left side. Now he's even blinking forward. He knows he's ahead. He knows he's winning. Still needs to be careful to not eat every single bile, but he's doing a good enough job. Another blink forward. Ling run by into his main base. These Vipers try to join up, but I mean, even if you pull a Colossi in, it's just going to add a little bit of extra damage on your Ravagers at this point, it feels like. There's too many Blink Stalkers that can just blink in. The Links actually are doing a fantastic job, but it's just going to be a bit too late.
Yeah, a bit too late indeed, but he just can't hold this army anymore. And I am very surprised with the way that he's made this happen. He's abducting the High Templars. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a joke, but good blink forward with the Stalkers, and Astrea takes map number 2 tying up this series and making all the math irrelevant, because now Reynor, even if Hero Moon would have been 2-1, he could not have even tied up the score. Not that it mattered. And now it's basically Reynor fighting for for still the second place, right? That's what he's fighting for right now.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very exciting game there out of Astrea, who's showing us that yes, it is possible to play that Colossus style. Of course, the late Hive coming out of Reynor initially thought that might be some trouble, but then eventually actually the Storm Colossi Archon push is what did him in. I think losing those Banelings in the middle of the map and not having a flank ready at one of those fights really did cost him. And also perhaps the passiveness that he had in this game throughout, really, because it was from the start. He started building spines kind of early. You said he felt like he could have probably done more, either with baning run-bys or just with straight-up attacks. What was that all about?
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit too passive overall. I'm also talking with him a little bit right now, and he says the nerves are getting a little bit to him, and he's playing a little bit like a
potato.
No, I don't want to say the word on an official stream, but like a scared person. Let's put it like that. So, yeah, he definitely knows that he can play better, and he also knows that he had that. That's the thing. That's the most frustrating thing about this. And he just didn't finish the game when he had the chance to. And then afterwards, he got a little bit outplayed. He just didn't look at his banelings a couple of times and got them stormed. And yeah, didn't set up the flanks. Like all the stuff that he usually is so good at, right? Knowing when to pounce, knowing what to do from ahead, knowing how to set up the flanks. It kind of escaped him there.
Okay. Yeah, of course, nerves are still an issue for everyone, or can be an issue for everyone. As we see it here, Reynor, who is he's 19, right?
He's, I want to say 18, but I'm not 100% sure.
18 or 19. Already feels like an experienced veteran, though, in my mind, you know?
Yeah.
If the first tournament you ever play internationally, you make it to the finals and get Cyril to match point in his most dominating year, yeah, I think you're pretty decent at the game and show that you definitely know how to play tournaments. Now, what do you think we're going to be seeing here on this final map as we enter Jagannatha LE?
I think Reynor is going to play something standard. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a little mix up in the opening. Like we know he likes to go pull first sometimes 12 pull just to be super safe. I'm not sure if Astrea ever cannon rushes, but he went Nexus first the last game, and the first game he didn't scout.
Yeah.
So something like a 12 pull definitely possible, right? So
it is a possibility indeed, Lambo. Curious.
It's also... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, you're going to say it's a very small map. It's one of the maps.
It's not a big map, yeah. It's one of the better maps for 12, but also a nice surface area on the wall. So
yeah, definitely. All right, here comes the countdown. As Astrea is... I'm sad I can't show the lobby, but Astrea is trolling the admin by doing a countdown and counting up. Because this admin continuously for the past few days does a pre-countdown before we have the in-game countdown, just to give the players and the casters another warning. Astrea just started putting in random numbers. Yeah, make it a little bit difficult there for a referee who's also had a long day of work already. And even one of the casters comes in and joins the bullying as well. And
probably hires them.
The circle is complete. It's unbelievable what these disgusting privileged guys are doing to the hardworking referee. Eamon, big shout out to you, buddy.
Yeah,
He's been holding the fort hardcore here for us at the C stream, making sure that we're always in it. And God knows that's not an easy task if you're working with me, because I forgot to put the overlay on for the entire day, so you know where my mind is. And so I think I pressed the wrong button. I don't think we're currently in the game. There we go. Okay, perfect. The final game, 100% the final game of the day in Group C, is going to be played here on Jagannatha in the bottom left, spawning as the blue Protoss player playing for Team Alpha X. He just showed us that it's possible to beat the best with unorthodox strategies. It is, of course, going to be Astrea.
And his opponent in the top right, not going for a 12, but just a hedge first. The red Zerg player for Team Clash from Italy, it's Reynor.
I forgot the buttons.
It's a long day.
It's been a long day for all of us, guys. The observing, the joining the games, changing the titles and the title screens. It's all getting to me right now. Here in the final game, but we'll put it together one last time as we have a head first coming out of Reynor and a standard opener from. This is a Gate Scout, wasn't it?
Gate Scout. So he basically had the same thought process. I'm pretty sure Astrea also a very smart player.
Yeah.
He knows he got away with something greedy, and he knows there might have been a chance of 12 pull. I think most of the European top Zergs are very fond of a 12 pull as well. So even not too afraid to go against it if you know your opponent is scouting. So if your opponent is trying to get away with fancy things, I like that he went for a Gate Scout just to be safe.
Yeah, it's cool to see. Cool to see Astrea completely aware of all the risks that he is taking, kind of playing with that. Even if it doesn't pay off, it just shows that indeed he thinks about every little thing. He grabs some of the minerals and says, adios, Reynor. These are mine now. I'll bring them back to my Nexus. As a couple of drones are going in and out of that extractor, will be moving towards speed most likely. Reynor has been moving towards quicker speed lately, by the way, I've noticed. For a while, so for a while it was a trend that Zerg players would try to delay their speed for as long as possible. But then when I saw Reynor play the other day, he had it really, really quick a couple of times. Now, of course, this game that's not going to be the case. And usually Zergs only do that when they get blocked at the natural. But he did it just randomly, just had really fast speed. I was surprised to see it.
As he's not doing that at all this game, he's going again for the Overlord speed, which is definitely a very nice opener. But you can only do this if you don't get blocked, because in this case, as you said, usually we do need the early Zergling speed. It is a necessity to start transferring drones again at some point, and that's not the case simply with this. So you can just get the Overlord speed instead of the Zergling speed, and then go Zergling speed afterwards, and it should still be fine. And Astrea this game is going for the most standard we've seen him open so far. Well.
Void Ray opener here out of Astrea. Warp gate is almost halfway done, and we'll add that second gateway as he is double adapt. This is, I don't want to call it greedy, but the most economical Void Ray opener. Did he chrono boost that first Void Ray? Okay, he did, so not quite the most economical. A lot of tosses, the Korean tosses, they liked if they open Void Ray first, so not chrono that first Void Ray. Sometimes they even skip the Oracle to get a faster third Nexus. This is something that a player like MaxPax, for example, also really, really likes to do. I've seen Zest do this a bunch. Trap tends to be more fond of sacrificing Adept, so he'll open up triple Adept. This actually is relatively... It's not that risky because he saw Overlord speed first, but usually this would be considered risky, right? If you move out like this with 2 adepts against someone that opened up, if you don't have a third adept, then you could just die to anything. But of course, because he saw Overlord speed, he knows he's fine. He's actually going to get a second Overlord.
This happened to Reynor a bunch of times already, not only against Hero Marine, but also in the PvZs that I've been watching, so... slightly sloppy there, but he gets the follow-up scout, which should make him feel pretty good because he is very confident against multiple Oracle openers. And I think if you see yourself as a favorite, this is probably the build order that you like going up against the most, where you know you can just go up to 80 drones eventually, and you know the Protoss will also get to execute his plan. So this should just be the most common opener clash, I would say, of the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Usually we wouldn't see too much of a Void Ray first, but as the Void Ray has gotten a couple of small buffs, we now see it used slightly more. PP out of Reynor. As he, slightly more at high level play. Not too much though. So every now and then we'll see a Void Ray. I'll put this back to us. So there's a little bit of a pause, not quite sure what's going on.
The mouse is bugging. Pretty sure he has a wireless mouse, so... The technology is not quite here yet, as we can confirm.
Definitely not the case. He's gonna be going into a lair and Evo chamber. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how all these builds develop. And I honestly was afraid that we were going to be seeing an IEM where almost every single PvZ was going to be double Stargate Void Ray or very Void Ray focused. So it's really cool to see that a lot of these guys have different things prepared, whether that's single Stargate, like just 2 Void Rays, which is very reminiscent of how these old Oracle games play out, right? You just have 2 3 Stargate units and you try to do some damage with it, and you get some safety through it. Perhaps not the safest at times. They're talking crap again, or why were you
No,
smiling?
they're ready, is what they're saying.
He looked so happy. Okay, we'll go back into the game then.
I'm always happy when I see my man ESL referee confirming anything. Really, we should give him a shout. Honestly, ask him what his actual idea is.
Yeah, he seems like a really cool guy. I'm a big fan of him. In general, by the way, the ESL production and all of the people we've been very fortunate to work with have been very, very kind to us. Well, or at least to me. Maybe they've been a massive dick to Lambo. I can't be bothered too much. So. So we see the 2 oracles make their way into the main base, and they get what? They get 1 kill. He has 3 kills total already. 3 worker kills total already, and it's nice. It's a nice little start. It's not the biggest of you. Usually these days you don't see the type of damage anymore where. In the King's Cove days, like the average game would have 25 drone kills and like 9 queens gone as well. Then the Protoss would attack into a concave and still lose. But these days, TOS is actually kind of okay by killing like 5-6 workers. And from there on out, you can just go into a good enough games. We started realizing that Faster Forged Twilight is very, very good rather than focusing too much on that early Immortal production. We see the Prism come out as well. This is going to be an 8-gate pressure push. Well, it's going to be a defense, except Astrea isn't aware of that yet.
Yeah, because of course Reynor is going for the Swarmo, so he wants to do a push himself. Now, usually what we see nowadays is very often even a skipped forward base, and then we go forward with the queens as well. But I know Reynor is the one Zerg that still sometimes likes to do these pressure builds off of more drones behind it. So you still see him obviously trying to invest as much as possible right now into the initial pressure. But then he can sometimes still follow it up with more drones and into like lurker transitions, something like that. So it's cool to see if he just tries to go and commit or not. Now, Astrea is actually trying to push to the other side of the map, which itself is not too bad as long as he doesn't bleed out any units. Yeah. But it's very important that you don't actually commit in here and start losing units.
Yeah, it's very important, especially that you don't start losing zealots like an idiot, because it's really, really easy to do that. These small engagements where you attack into like queens, and then even if just like 6 or 8 locust drops, your zealots will absolutely melt like butter under the sun. Like, it's insane how quickly that goes. We have the Prism going into the main. I like this. He shouldn't warp in. He should be ready to pick those up. This is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. He needs to be very careful with his main army here, Lambo.
Reynor saw that there was a stasis ward, so he actively didn't go in. He even tried to set. Oh my god, he's gonna catch an Archon! That's huge! This is the kind of pickoff which is very huge. And Astrea is playing this very greedy as well. Usually, against Swarmo styles, you see people not trying to take out 4 Nexus, trying to stay on Archon compositions for a little bit longer. He's trying to get out Storm. And Reynor, because he didn't like his early game, he's actually going into this couple extra drones that I was talking about, which is not good in this scenario because of how greedy Astrea is playing.
Yeah, if Reynor would have gone for a kill move here, I have a difficult time seeing Astrea hold with a 4th base and this type of structures there as well. 3 extra pylons, 2 batteries. We don't see a single battery at the 3rd base. Yeah, he would be absolute toast. Even now, if the attack is centered around the 3rd base, this could still be dangerous. Now, oracles are coming in, starting to do a little bit of damage on these Swarmos. Swarmos moving forward. Here comes that first fight. Storm is ready though. Big Storm hits immediately before the Locust spawns. Is there a super battery? Yes, there is. Does it get activated? Yes, it does. I'm not sure if that was necessary yet, Lambo.
Yeah, it wasn't. Now, the super battery takes a little bit longer than the Swarmos to come off cooldown, so it's only going to be back at the end of the next Locust wave, so most likely we're not going to see him use it too much. Now, I definitely can't engage this. Preferably, if you take a really good fight like this, if you have an Archon army, you can force the Zerg to go a little bit further back. But that's not the case at all here, since he has such a zealot-heavy army where Reynor can just kite a good Storm here on Reynor's army. Reynor not quite paying attention there, trying to obviously wait for his next Locust wave. Reynor also, by the way, is on 8 gas, going into Hive and Hydra, than as I said before, but still on a very, very low drone count, so he needs to trade efficiently here.
You need to be so careful, though, with these storms to zone out roaches, because you still, if you don't have a super battery, you will need these storms in order to fight these locusts. Now the 4th base is just going to go down because the storms simply aren't there. So even though you said it was a good storm, and I think that first one was, the 2 after weren't as great, and he was just lacking simply storm energy to push this back. Loses his 4th base now, and normally this wouldn't be the end of the world, but because Reynor is on those 8 gases and he does have that well, actually it's just on 69 workers, so not even that high of a drone count, but a lot of gas income, and he hasn't been losing too many units. I think Reynor's actually completely fine here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the oracles are also almost out of energy, so the queens won't need to babysit the Swarmhost anymore for too much longer. Now, as long as he doesn't get caught in the stasis ward, that was a really, really big stasis ward. I think Reynor needs to watch out to not lose more Roach Ravager at the front now, because then it's going to be very, very hard to make it so the units get back home. There's a massive Zealot counterattack at Reynor's third base right now. He warped in like 3 rounds of Zealots off the Warp Prism, but Reynor was ready for it. He had a lot of roaches at home, and he even had spine crawlers. So that's part of why Reynor's drone count was so low, is because he made a bunch of spine crawlers to defend everything. And this Zealot Warpin also didn't pay off.
Yeah, absolutely didn't. We see Astrea being decently behind in the units lost as well, which is of course always painful if you're playing against the Zerg. With Swarmhost that often is the case, because Locusts obviously they don't cost any money. However, these Swarmhosts they're getting useless pretty soon. If look how many freaking storms there is, holy crap.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I don't think Archons are super necessary. The problem is usually the Zerg doesn't have Lurker tech, which is the case here. So eventually he's gonna need to transition out of these High Templars, or at least he won't be able to do too much with them. But for now they're great at zoning out stuff, and he won't need to worry too much anymore about storming roaches, because, well, he's basically gonna have a lot of storms.
Yeah, thanks a couple of biles there. I'm afraid it's gonna... The problem here is that it's also kind of... It's difficult now to push out onto creep for Astrea, and once the lurkers are out, this is basically going to be impossible, because you can't really attack into lurkers with this army. He doesn't have a fort base set up yet, so in my opinion the only thing he truly can do is kind of go for some type of counterattack, or Reynor's bank will just keep growing. It's so difficult to take a fort base at this point, because your 5th base will have to come almost immediately after.
Yeah, I wonder what his transition is going to be once he realizes there are lurkers. Reynor's just going to snipe that Nexus. He was close enough with the Swarmhost so that the Locust had enough HP, or rather lifetime. And yeah, they were enough to take out. Now, at the same time, in Reynor's main base, there is a massive Warpin once again. He's also zoning out the main army very well. He's trying to focus down the Lurker then, but Reynor already built all of the Lurkers, and they also have Seismic Spines already.
Yeah, so Reynor, of course, is going to be a bit upset about that, but not too much. I mean, he's missing adaptive talents, which will delay the unburrow time. That was an interesting sacrificial Ravager there that throws one less bile. It's 56 workers here for Astrea. Where are the Swarmhost? They went back home. I guess for safety. Probably could have stayed on the other side of the map, but I don't mind that he pulled them back. I mean, just for a little bit of extra safety after killing that main base, seeing that there was yet no fort, which means that right now, this push out here for Reynor could actually be it. What is there at home for Astrea? He has a bunch of Immortals, he has Stalkers.
Yeah, I really don't think he expected Lurker swap, and it's generally super difficult to attack into the army of Astrea, but it's really not that necessary for him to... Like, he's not forced to attack, he's not all in by any means. It's actually Astrea, the person that doesn't have a tech follow-up to this. He doesn't have any carriers or anything like that anytime soon. He doesn't even have disruptors or something that he could team up with together with the High Templars. And as long as Reynor trades somewhat effectively, if we take a look at his bank, he is in a great position here.
Yeah, definitely seems to be the case. We have a massive bank for Reynor, almost 5k resources. We have a Roach run by onto the third base. There's no battery there. This has to be a recall, but I don't think he can recall. If he decides to run back, these Lurkers are now in position. These Archons are going to get shot. The fourth base is going to die at the same time. Reynor does need to be a little bit careful that not all of his Lurkers die for free here. Well, I'm not sure if 38 workers would classify quite as free, but a lot of the workers do go down, and sadly a lot of the Templar also went down. So right now, a Remax on any unit, a Hydra, a Roach, almost Zerglings would be finer, as Reynor tanks a Stasis Ward head first with about 12 Roaches, and starts right-clicking the fourth base. The third is gone, the main is gone, and this will reset the base count of Astrea back to the start of the game, and I think Reynor is about to send him back to the lobby screen, as well as this game is looking very bad for our American Protoss player.
Yeah, he's trying some fancy moves with the Stalkers, trying to snipe the Hive, but Stalkers are not very good against Locusts, so he needs to blink back out. He's even recalling, but he's all in. He only has 2 bases remaining, 2 nexus remaining, that is, with 20 probes. So I'm not sure if recall is the play here, but to be honest, there is no play remaining that would win him the game here. It's impossible to break the Zerg player that is Reynor in this game with the set of units that Astrea has. He's trying to remake probes 2 at a time, desperately, on his last life in this tournament. Obviously, this will be the last we see of Astrea in here. I think he fought a good fight in this group overall, but yeah, I don't think he has any outs left in this game.
I don't think so either. Reynor would need to make not only one serious error, but multiple serious errors in order to lose this. I feel like A moving across the map would almost be viable at this point for him. I mean, there's just not a lot of army left for Astrea. Sure, the army he has is pretty powerful. There's a lot of Templar, there's a lot of Immortals, but there's 13 Lurkers, and yeah, Astrea realizes it, calls GG, as Reynor wins this series 2-1, putting himself 4-1 in the group.